Hello everybody and welcome back to the second episode of the Game Informer Breakdown. For those of you who emailed me all those nasty messages about how much Norma doesn't speak in the first video, now she doesn't want to be in this one. No, I'm just kidding. She has no problem being in them. She actually looks forward to being in the others, but our schedules are kind of opposite right now, so we didn't have the right setting to link up together to do this one. In this Game Informer Breakdown, we're going to be going over issue number 326, and this is what it looks like. Hopefully there's not too much glare. There's not. There you go. The cover of this one is about Wasteland 3, which I do not know anything about, and I didn't do any research on. The Future of X. Games coming to the Xbox Series X. 23 new titles, to be specific. This was a piece written by Andrew Ranier. I keep forgetting if it's an R or an N. It's in cursive, and that's kind of becoming a foreign, what do you call that, a foreign whatever, writing. So I boiled it down to the 9 exclusives that were coming to Xbox. So we're only going to talk about those, except for 2 honorable mentions that are pretty cool. So the first we have is the Ascent. Now the Ascent, from what I read, reminds me a lot of Cyberpunk 2077, mainly because it's a cyberpunk game. Quote, it's a single player or with a friend via co-op. The Ascent tells a story of a world struggling to survive after a corporation that ran everything suddenly shuts down. It's an exclusive to Xbox, so there's that one. Call of the Sea. This one looks pretty cool. The graphics are pretty unique. They're a little different. Borderlands graphics are really different at first too. Not that these are like that big of a difference, but they're just a little different. In this, your husband disappears on a mysterious island, and you have to find out what happened to him. It is a first-person game, and the scenery is beautiful. I love that it takes place in the 1930s, and I love that it has to do with being on an island. It reminds me of BioShock, and I absolutely love the series. And I mean, it's pretty obvious why it reminds me of BioShock. So that's another great game. Chorus is a really cool-looking game. I did not think it was going to be as cool as it actually is. I looked up a lot of information online about this, and it seems really, really cool. Quote, story-driven space shooter puts players in control of a pilot named Nara and her sentient starfighter Forsaken. It's very similar to Star Fox. It is similar to Star Fox. When I looked up gameplay and trailers, it looks just like Star Fox. It looks really interesting. Gears of War 5 and Halo Infinite. We obviously know these are coming to Xbox, so if you're into those kind of games, you have that to look forward to. The Medium. This game looked really cool. It says, and I quote, as you investigate a child's murder, you explore the darkened real world in the spirit realm, along with plenty of jump scares and haunting music, which is created by Bluebird Team's Arkadas Malskowski. I don't know what the hell that says, but apparently a unique team worked on composing the music in this game, which also worked on Silent Hill, so that's kind of cool. The Call of the Sea and the Medium are also going to be on PC as well as Xbox. Next up, we have Orphan of the Machine. Quote, if you like Echo the Dolphin and Metroid, you should keep an eye on Dynamic Voltage Games' Orphan of the Machine, which is currently set to release on Xbox Series X this fall. You must navigate an underwater labyrinth, gain powers along the way, and battle fish and robots. I looked this game up. It reminded me a lot of when you ride the swordfish in Donkey Kong Country. It looks just like it. You're underwater and you're like a dolphin with like a laser on his head or some shit. I'm not going to shit on it yet because I don't like to judge something too soon. Next we have Scorn. I did not know that Scorn had already been out for such a long time. It's just coming to the Xbox Series X. It's not a new title or anything. But man, does this game look cool. It's everything that I love about, well, a game. It's a first-person shooter, it's a horror game, and it's really, really dark. I originally looked up the trailer, and then I saw like hours of gameplay, and I'm like, what the fuck? I didn't even know this was a game that's been out for like, I think the video I watched was like 2017, so it's been out for a few years now. I mean, to be honest, I wish it was on PlayStation, because it looks really good. Maybe I'll get it for my PC, though. That's also on PC. Leia! Hey, shut up. Second Extinction. This game, off-rip, just reminded me of Turok. Quote, a first-person shooter with a strong co-op focus. Up to 3 players can team up to battle waves of mutated dinosaurs. Earth is overrun with these wild thunder lizards, and you must use heavy artillery to mow down aggressive raptor swarms and even rampaging tyrannosaurs. For all you Tyrannosaurus Rexes, I'm not going to shit on it. 2 honorable mentions. We have Soulborn, and we have Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines 2. Let's start with Soulborn. Quote, based on Norse mythology, this open-world RPG from developer Pixelmad Studio isn't slated to launch until the end of 2021. But we're already getting looks at the game in action. Players assume the identity of a soulborn demigod named, I'm going to butcher this, Bjornr Townshield. Bjornr Townshield. Bjornr Brynjar Townshield. Brynjar Townshield. I don't know. Brynjar Townshield. Who wields Mjolnir. I know that one. And is tasked to prevent another Ragnarok created by the beast Nidhogger. I think they're trying to get me in trouble with the name of this guy. But you get it. Mjolnir supposedly comes to life and can transform into weapons and creatures. This is true. Mjolnir switches from a bow to a hammer to a sword. And it's really, really dope. And I can't wait to play this game. A lot of people were saying it reminded them of Zelda meets The Witcher, Soulborn. For me, it was more Reckoning met Zelda, Soulborn. Reckoning has a lot of similarities to this. Well, at least the gameplay I saw of the demo footage, it had a lot of similarity. To me, I thought that was more. But then you know what? I can't even say that because that's relatable to me because I never played The Witcher. I played probably 2.5 hours of it, and I didn't really care for it, so I stopped. But to me, it seems a lot like Reckoning and Zelda, and to others, it seems like Zelda and The Witcher. So, Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines 2. When I saw it said Bloodlines 2, I was like, what the fuck happened to Bloodlines 1? So, of course, I had to go online and look this game up. And Bloodlines 1 came out in 2004. It says, and I quote, the sequel to the 2004. Look at that. Look at that. Instead of looking at titles, I should have just reread the paragraph, which I haven't read in like over a month. The sequel to the 2004 game Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines 2 invites players to the dark corners of Seattle, Washington, or in Seattle, where nightwalkers and ruthless cults reside. Most of the vampiric action unfolds in first person, but the camera pulls out for specific actions, such as scurrying up walls. That's it? That's it? That's all it says. I'm sorry, I'm just a little blown away. That says actions. There's an S that makes it plural, meaning more than one. And then it says such as showing your created character scurrying up walls. Period. That's all it says. I thought there was going to be some more to it. Quote, when you begin the game, you have to select your power, which powers range from bat summoning to levitation to summon mist, or the traditional vampiric assortment of attacks. And for those of you who don't know what a vampire attack looks like, this game is going to be coming to PlayStation, PC, and Xbox Series X. So will Soulborn. I may have forgotten to mention that. Those last 2 games were the honorable mentions, and that is the completed piece on 23 games coming to Xbox Series X. Hashtag we rewrote the name of the piece and called it 9 exclusives coming to Xbox X with 2 honorable mentions.
Are you busy? Can you...
What do you need from me?
Can you do 2548 divided by 25, I guess?
There's absolutely no reason why that hard of a math equation would be in a VR headset game. They're not going to expect you to take it off to whip out a calculator. I'm going to go back to what I do. The good, the bad, the ugly. Let's start with the good. Epic unveiled PlayStation 5 demo footage of its new Unreal Engine 5. Whoa. Which provides developers with impressive toys for utilizing film quality assets, improving lighting, and much more. The engine is available next year. Epic also announced that not only is Fortnite coming to the PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X at the launch of those systems, but that the game is in transition to Unreal 5 in mid-2021. That kind of was written weird. I think it should say, but that the game will transition to Unreal Engine 5 in mid-2021. With players' progress and purchases making the jump as well as keeping cross-platform play. So people who play Fortnite, anything that you've done on that game, any purchases that you have made on that game will transfer from your PS4 to the PS5. and I believe from Xbox One to Xbox Series X. So congratulations for you guys. You get to keep playing that terrible game. The bad. It's 2 years in a row that wrestling fans won't be able to play WWE 2K game. No one plays it to begin with. Last year's WWE 2K20, the first iteration developed solely by NBA 2K Studio Visual Concepts, was a buggy mess. And now publisher 2K Games has outright canceled WWE 2K21 because once again nobody plays WWE anymore. At least the new arcade title WWE 2K Battlegrounds by Saber Interactive is coming out this year instead. To me, that is not bad at all because it doesn't matter. The ugly, and this really doesn't matter because this Game Informer should have been covered months ago, but you know, lives and shit get in the way. But hackers not affiliated with Sony or developer Naughty Dog got a hold of The Last of Us Part 2, which has been out forever, and they hacked it and they revealed some vital information that shouldn't have been revealed at the time. But we're way past that, and you know, everyone's already played the game. Except for me, because I haven't played the first one and I refuse to play a number 2 before I play number 1. Are you a kid born in the 80s? Or maybe the early 90s? Or maybe you're just really into retro stuff or stuff that's really old? Then TurboGrafx X16 Mini is the console for you. This is apparently a revamped console that came out in sometime in the late 80s. I never heard of it until I seen this issue. But if you're really into classics, or maybe you just want to indulge in some prehistoric caveman-like architect technology, then maybe the TurboGrafx Mini X16 or whatever the fuck it's called is for you. I mean, I think that I want to play Super Nintendo, and then when I do, I play for 20 minutes and get fed up, and I'm like, how the fuck did I ever play this? Memories are good for one thing: thinking about them. This piece was written by Jeff Cork. He gave a lot of information, but we're just going to go over some of the key things. The TurboGrafx 16 is a relic of the 80s. We went over that. First system with a CD-ROM attachment. And, it did come out in 89, so it is late 80s. Back in 1889. Inside, you get the mini console, a USB controller, an HDMI cable, and a USB power cable. You have to supply your own AC plug. I don't want to buy anything where it doesn't have all the parts. Even though today we buy games that aren't completed. But let's not go there. It's double the size of the NES Classic. They mean the actual size. The NES Classic, I couldn't give you an idea of how big it actually is, but it's going to be double. So if it's this, it's going to be this. It's going to be bigger, but it's still a mini. You only get one controller, but you can purchase extras for $25 each. You could also get a TurboTap adapter for $29, which connects 5 more controllers. I don't know if that's a typo or if you can really have 6 controllers on this thing, but that's pretty impressive. I don't even know what the fuck you're going to do with 6 controllers on an ancient-ass console like that. Like, what game are you going to play that allows 6 players? This console holds 57 games, 25 of which will be from North America, and the remaining 32 will be from its Japanese counterpart, which are all in Japanese. So unless you speak Japanese or have a Japanese friend or fucking feel like doing some homework, I wouldn't even play it unless you just want to run through and have no idea what's going on. And let's be honest, you're not going to like get overly enveloped with these games anyway. But if you're interested in this, you could purchase the console for $100. Out of this world, I wouldn't even pay $60 for it. It might be different for those of you who actually know the TurboGrafx X16. Like I said, I've never heard of it, but it's out there. Wasteland 3. It's like fucking 13 pages written on Wasteland 3. I feel like such a piece of shit for skipping over it, but I just don't care enough. The CRPG premiere. What is CRPG? It was written by Matt Miller. What? Matt Miller? Why does that sound like a rapper? Oh, Mac Miller. That's why. This was a really fun article to read. I really enjoyed it. There are some really cool references and games in here that I'd never heard of. C stands for computer, and we already know what RPG stands for. So, computer role-playing game. A little entry that I read from the chief of Game Informer in the beginning of the magazine. I agree with his statement. Isn't everything considered a CRPG technically? Aren't PlayStation, pretty much computers at this point? I still don't get the difference even after reading this article, and the only part of this article that I found really interesting was all of these ancient-ass games that are some of the first CRPGs ever. Quote, enterprising creators in the mid to late 1970s used university mainframes to create games like Dungeon, and Unix-based systems allowed for the creation of Rogue. The very same game that so many modern releases now recall when the term roguelike is used. Instead of putting it in my own words, I just decided to read it. Alkalabeth World of Doom came out in 1979. That's an old game. That's a CRPG. Ultima 3 Exodus, 1983. Ultima 4 Quest of the Avatar, 1985. Wizardry, 1981. Dungeons of Daggorath, 1982. And The Sword of Fargol, 1982. Oh, they're both in 1982. And Interplay's Tale of the Unknown Volume 1, The Bard's Tale, 1985. These are a bunch of old games that are like some of the first CRPGs ever, so I thought that they were worth noting. There are some more, but I just want to keep you on track in case you're losing what the hell we're talking about. Quote, while there's plenty of debate over the definition of the modern CRPG, there's little doubt about its chief inspiration, the publication of Dungeons and Dragons in 1974. I almost forgot how to say dragon. That makes a lot of sense. That is a very broad game because its limitations are to your mind, aside from a 20-sided die. I actually bought one of the games that were listed in this article. Pillars of Eternity. So I bought this game when I was in GameStop because of this article. It's listed in here. I knew it was going to be old and that I might not like it, but man, did I not realize how bad it was. I'm sure to people who grew up playing that, they're like, fuck you, you piece of shit. It's sentimental and you already knew how to play it because it was, you know, your time. There was so much to it in the beginning. Now it's like, you know, choose your character, create him, choose your class set, and start. This was like, who is your character? Where is he from? What state was he in? Was he next to the water or in a forest? Did he come from elves or dwarves? You know, what was his maiden name? There's so much going on in the beginning that you have to read, especially if you want to actually check out each character. There's so many freaking possibilities. That is not what deterred me from liking this game. I actually enjoyed that. I thought that that was cool. It was a lot of info. When I was reading through that stuff, I was like, damn, this is like when developers really gave a shit and they put everything they had into making a game, and it shows. Whereas today, they like half-ass it. I mean, you don't even get a full game when you purchase it. Let's not go there. There's some interesting titles in here that I looked up, and one in particular that I bought, and it was just fun. I don't think of it as a waste of money. I enjoyed the experience, and I'm going to give it another try. I just need to take a break from it because I played for like 4 hours. And I was aggravated with some things. Another game that I'm going to mention that I do want to try, and I notice is on PlayStation Now, is called Torment, Tides of Numenera. I don't know. Marinara sauce. Torment, Tides of Numenera, and Pillar of Eternity were the two games that I thought were really dope. And one I've already got my hands on and tried, and the other one I notice is on PlayStation Now, so I'm kind of, you know, playing with the idea of getting PlayStation Now for a month just to try out that game. There are some really interesting titles that you guys should either, you know, check out for yourself and play, like buy or whatever, or just look at the trailers or some gameplay online. It's worth looking into. Like I said, some of these games, or like this article says, a lot of these games were referenced from Dungeons and Dragons, so, you know, these are the granddaddy of games. Medieval times! Medieval times! This is a piece written by Daniel Tack and is a comedy and carnage collide in Torn Banner Studios Chivalry 2. That is just what it says. Okay, I just read what it says. When I first saw this, I was like, oh great, here we go. Here's another For Honor. I mean, not that For Honor was bad. When I read about this game, I got so excited, mainly because the Monty Python and the Holy Grail was referenced, and that's a classic. If you don't know what that movie is, check it out. For those of you who have a love for showbiz or for movies in general or classics or whatever, you're going to have some respect for it. It is a pioneer? I don't know the word I'm looking for, but everybody knows Monty Python and the Holy Grail. And if you don't, you're too young, bro. This game references that a lot. There's a part in the game. Let me see if I can find it so I don't butcher it too much. Quote, I noticed another tie-in when one of the arms gets hacked off as I'm slamming another warrior's face, and the message, it's just a flesh wound. When I saw that, it just immediately brought me back to that part in Monty Python when, well, he hacks his arm off and he says, it's just a flesh wound. And he eventually gets all his limbs chopped off and he's still trying to fight. It is so ridiculous.
Just a flesh wound.
I'm more excited for it now than when I had first looked at the first image. Let me read some of the stuff so you actually get some more about it other than just that it references Monty Python. Through the character selection, you could be a knight, a vanguard, a footman, or an archer. and an archer. So maybe you get to be all of them if you play like a story, or maybe you could choose one if there's online. I don't know. There's a button you can press that relieves a battle cry, and I guess the developers call it the scream button. I thought that was really cool. If you want to get yourself really pumped up going into battle, at least I'd imagine in my head, if you're going into battle, you know, fucking swords, and you're about to be really, you know, confrontational, and then just run out. Or maybe you see your boy get stabbed in the back, upset you, cry a little bit, scream it out, and then go back into fighting. I don't know. I think that's something probably a lot of people did back in the day when they ran into battle, was scream their fucking face off, because, dude, you're about to probably die. Scream, it just brings your adrenaline to the next level. The environment can be used to your advantage. There's a couple parts in here where he's able to pick up barrels, broomsticks, I think even food. At one point, he picks up a whole fucking chicken and throws it at someone. And I thought that that was not only funny, but really realistic. In a life or death situation, you're going to grab any blunt object you can get your hand on and go at somebody full force. Apparently, you can cut people's heads off or see a head that's been cut off and pick it up. I don't know if you could throw it at people. That would be really, really fucking funny. I don't know. Heisman with it. Quote, one of the major differences in Chivalry 2 compared to its predecessor is its vast breadth, I don't know what that word is. It says bread, TH. I don't know what the fuck that means. But compared to its predecessor, it has a vast breadth of combatant options. In the original title, you had relatively few options. You could slash, overhead stab, and kick. In Chivalry 2, a host of new maneuvers have opened up. Now you could do more shit, like Super Smash grabbing it. That's not a joke. That's true. You could actually, there's like a heavy attack to it too. You can now make moves heavy to cleave through blocks. You can sprint attack, and you can tackle people, dash, execute fast jabs, and more. So there's a lot more you could do rather than, you know, whatever the square, triangle, X combination they had before. Or square, triangle, circle, whatever the hell it was. I don't know. Mind games, use psychokinesis to save the world, and Bandai Namco's new action RPG Scarlet Nexus by Kimberly Wallace. I don't know if I want to go over this one. This doesn't seem like a game I would play, but I mean, I did make some highlights. You know what? I'll read the highlights. It's edgy. It's different. The enemies are fucking weird. Like, really weird. Like, flower pot for a torso and a spinal cord hanging out as a tail with kangaroo legs. Fucking weird. While you're wearing patin dance shoes. I don't know what patin means. Game looks really weird and it looks anime, and that's not really my type of game. Quote, players control Yuto Sumoragage. I don't know, man. I can't speak Japanese. I don't know Japanese names. A young man striving to become an elite psionic after he was saved by one as a child. Sounds like Bleach to me. When he was saved by the spirit warrior girl who fights demons and shit in, you know, the 5th dimension or whatever the fuck it was. Quote again, in this universe, people's brains have developed to a point where they no longer have to have any physical interaction with technology devices around them. And that's it. I don't know, man. I've got nothing on this game. I'm not particularly excited about it. Maybe I will be as time goes. But as of right now, even with reading the whole article, which I did, I'm just not that up for it. To be frank, I have pile drived 3 new Game Informers into my mind, so I have a lot of information in there, and I've forgotten a lot about this one, but there's no way I can cover the next 3 without covering this one first. So, forgive me, but we're going to move past this, because I don't care enough for this game. Previews. Just going to name some of the previews. These are games that are going to be releasing very soon, and they're really cool. Some of them are really cool. We have Assassin's Creed Valhalla. I mean, if you haven't played one of the Assassin's Creed yet, I recommend you do. They have great stories, and they're really dope. Personally, I don't even like them. Valhalla looks pretty good. I might play that one. The Dark Pictures Anthology Little Hope. This game looks creepy as fuck. It seems pretty cool, and I would recommend checking out a trailer or some gameplay on it. Valorant. This, I don't know about this game. It's strictly PC. It looks like it would be hard as fuck to play, because PC is hard to play. And it looks like Call of Duty and Titanfall. Have fun with that one. Torchlight 3. I don't even know what that's about, and I don't want to know what it's about. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2. I don't care about 2. But Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 on N64, you know, the blue cartridge that everyone played back in the late 90s, early 2000s? That was the shit. That was the game that got me into skateboarding, and that I cannot wait to play again. I cannot wait until it gets released. There are so many cool things about that game. There was something I even forgot about that game until today. When me and my brother were little, we used to play, you had to like do a trick on a ramp and it would color it blue or red. The point was to do as many tricks on as many things as possible and get your color across the board. That's how you won. That was such a unique feature, and that was so fucking fun to play, man. And I can't wait to purchase this game, and I cannot wait to play my brother in it again. Tony Hawk XL, I don't even know what the fuck that is. Carry On. And looking at the picture of it, I didn't read that. I'm gonna tell you that right now. I didn't really read these previews at all. I didn't read any of them. But Carry On. Check it out. Disintegration. Check it out. NASCAR Heat 5. Check it out. Ghost of Tsushima. A lot of people are playing it right now, and it seems pretty cool. And that's it of previews. Now we have reviews. Trials of Mana got a 7.75. Streets of Rage 4 got a solid 7. Predator Hunting Grounds got a solid 7.25. Gears Tactics got an 8.5. XCOM Chimera Squad got a solid 8. And that's it. There was nothing else in here except for, the 100 other games that they list. But they're not important enough. They didn't even make it on the major, they didn't get their own page for their review. So who gives a shit? That's the second episode of Game Informer Breakdown. I'm sorry it was rushed through. I'm sorry that I've forgotten most of the information that I've already read in this. And too much time has passed, and I've got other ones in my head now. And I'm sorry that Norma couldn't be in it, but it's your fault because everyone made comments about her not talking enough. Isn't that right?
Yeah.
You already know why she couldn't be in it. I said it in the beginning of this. Maybe she'll be in the next one or in the one after. I don't know. Another reason that she wasn't too involved in the last one was because she doesn't know shit about games, and she doesn't care enough to read these, just like everyone else that doesn't. But as for now, that's all I've got to say, and I will see you in the next episode of Game Informer Breakdown. Until then, keep it easy, stay cheesy, shake it twice, and don't let your meatloaf. Alright, cut that.